willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve, to rise above what happens. Self-confidence really comes from feeling good about yourself. And one of the best ways to feel good about yourself is at the end of the day to know that you poured it on. You did your best. At the end of those kind of days, when you feel good about yourself, self-confidence starts to rise. You know that if you can have this kind of a good day, you can have another one the next day, and those days become the weeks become the months, and the month becomes a powerful year. The distributors now is what has made Herbalife come alive. The distributors that tell the story, the distributors that conduct the meetings, the distributors that take the products to the marketplace, the stories you've collected, the products you've sold, the times you've been out there when it wasn't that easy to get the job done, and when the weather was bad and the nights were long and the criticism was deep, you went out there and did it anyway. And I'm telling you, the magic of Herbalife is sitting right here in this room. It's your hands that make it work. It's your voice that make it work. It's your words that give the dream content so that somebody can understand it, so that somebody can see it. Let your distributors borrow your eyes to see into the future, things they cannot at first see. Let them borrow your vision. It's action that turns ideas into reality. It's action that builds the city.
Learning this information is great, but it's useless unless you start putting it into action, okay? And the more action you get, the more confident you get. If you have the desire to want to learn, and you have the desire to want to grow, and if you have the desire to want to be and have a better life and to be a better person, you can do it.
The same wind blows on us all, the wind of circumstance as well as the wind of opportunity. You cannot change the wind that blows, but you can set a better sail. And what's so exciting now about the Herbalife opportunity is to have plenty of examples around you of people that started right where they were, decided to make the personal changes themselves, and let the Herbalife opportunity become something valuable for them.
You're going to have an incredible sail set that'll take advantage of the winds so that you can go wherever you want to go.
There's a couple of ways to recruit that I just want to remind you of here. No question, one way is first-line recruiting. But there's also what's called secondary recruiting. So my goal always was, after I went through my circle of influence, doing every single thing I could to try to first-line recruit, which meant I was doing everything, by the way. And for those of you that don't do everything, you should at least know everything as leaders so that you can pass out the menu to everybody. What do I mean by that? Some of you, if you don't ever learn this, fine. Can you get richer with what I'm going to tell you? No question about it. Some of you are good at only handing out flyers. That's what you are good at. Some of you are good at only doing flyers to get first-line recruiting going on. Some of you are good at only getting people in front of the HBN network, and that's what's making it happen for you. Some of you are good at just getting people one-on-one. You do presentations one-on-one, okay? And that's what gets you first-line recruiting. Some of you are good at doing this mailing program that you got going on, okay? This direct mail response deal that some of you are doing out here in the audience. And that's what's making it score for you, okay? There's a lot of different things. Some of you only recruit off your buttons. But I'll tell you what you're going to make a big mistake at as leaders if you don't know. Knowing the menu. See, if you only continually be good at flyers, and that's all you ever tell anybody about, flyers, 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 guess what? Out of 10 people, there's going to be 7 of them that don't like flyers, that join your companies. And there's going to be, because they're all going to be different types. Some are going to like flyers, some are going to like ads, some are going to like one-on-one, Some of them are going to like the buttons. Some are going to like watching the television set. Some of them are going to like doing one-on-ones or using the direct mailing program. They're all going to like doing different things. And unless you know the menu, your advantages go way down on how you can attract people to the company. So make sure that you, even if you're not using the menu, that you know how to tell somebody about the menu. See, it doesn't make any difference if you don't use the menu. See, there's lots of stuff, myself personally, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do this direct mail program that some of you are doing. I couldn't do it. Me personally. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that I wouldn't do it. Okay? You know, me personally, I love the flyers. Me personally, I love the advertisements. Advertisements is how I built my business. Okay? Talking first line here right at the moment. That's what I love to do. But that's not the only thing I teach. Because if I did, guess what some people would have not done? Ads and flyers. Because some of my people didn't have the money to do the ads. Some of them were scared to answer the telephones. But they would put on their button because it was already in their kit and paid for. And they actually got to the president's team through the button retailing the product, and they mostly retailed the product and then turned them into distributors and got to the top, and that's how they got to the top. So make sure, as leaders, when you're doing your training classes, that you know enough about the menu so that you can attract every kind of person that there is, so that you can put them all on stage, so that they can all tell the results of the different parts of the menu, so that somebody in the audience says, I like that. That's a secret. Now see, make sure that you get that one. It would be unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Write this down. Using the products, wearing the button, and talking to people.
We are about to go faster, stronger, better, deeper, wider, city to city.
Just getting started.
Act on what you've learned and what you've got. Put these notes into action. It's action that turns ideas into reality. It's action that builds the city. It's the 6 days of labor. Yes, we now must rest one after 6 of labor. But don't get those numbers mixed up. 6 of rest, 1 of labor. It's not rest that builds the city. Yes, we must rest. But make this note, this is for leaders, potential leaders. Only rest long enough to gather strength. No more. The same is for food. Only enough food to gather strength. No more. Because the purpose of an object is not to eat. The purpose of an object is not to sleep. The purpose of an object is not to rest. The purpose is to build the city, build the university, build a career, build your good health, build an organization, build for the future. And from Michael Johnson on down to all of us, this is the whole key. Employ those 6 days out of 7 and see if you can't, with your own voice and with your own hands, build something that'll last for a lifetime for yourself and for your family and for your future. And pass it on to the next generation.
Please welcome from Europe and Africa, Elisabeth Agusta Kovar.
Welcome, welcome to all newly qualified supervisors, and welcome to all the supervisors around the world. Unfortunately, Alf Patron wasn't able to make it. He had an unexpected family matter to attend, and so I stepped gladly in. The purpose of our supervisor school is to honor the legacy of Marcuse, and to qualify to supervisor, to understand the leadership and to understand the lesson to lead others with integrity and ethics. Myself, 38 years ago, I worked as a fashion consultant in London, already around the world, and I had to stop working due to the complication of the pregnancy with my daughter. The United Kingdom was launched on 1st of May 1984, and I registered as a distributor with a 3-week baby girl. The 9 months pregnancy left me in a deep depression, and by using the Herbalife product twice per day, I replaced depression with a soaring energy. I kept my silhouette for the last 38 years, and the product brought out the best in me. In the early days, I worked my business with a business partner, and we were fortunate enough to have Marcuse share his insight. And his insight was, use word talk, build a momentum, and talk to many people. Your first 6 to 12 months in a business are the most important moments, is the most important time in your life, in your Herbalife career. Now, we did exactly that. We talked to many. We made ourselves a goal to talk each to 20 people minimum, 10 about the products, 10 about the business. And we registered many distributors in our first months that qualified us to supervisor within 6 days. And some of the distributors followed us and qualified with us, and we started earning royalties. 6 years later, we qualified to president's team, and the company paid us substantial royalties for every year for the last 32 years. The royalty income allowed me to sail through unexpected family challenges, and the royalty income allows me to live in Monaco at the beach with a vision over the ocean, where I swim every day at 6 in the morning all year round. Now I'm going to get to the most important part. And before I introduce to you our guest speaker, I would like that everyone who is not qualified to qualify yourself and your organization for the next supervisor workshop in November, I will be our host, and disconnect from this platform. And to everyone else, get your manual, get your pen, and focus on what you hear and write down the story. Now, I had the good fortune to listen to our guest speaker already in 2020 when we had lockdown and the United Kingdom launched monthly BBSs. And her story resonated with me, not only because she's a woman, but we seem to have similar challenges. And 24 and a half years ago, she got started. She got registered as a distributor. She was married then. And she ended up becoming a single mom and taking responsibility of 3 children. She developed, say, 24 Fit Camp Challenge in her own gymnasium in the USA. She was trained in the beginning by Mark Hughes and Jim Rowan. And what I love on her, she's a youth wear talk distributor. She is very close in achieving the $2 million Lifetime Achiever Award. And not only she is a powerful, beautiful woman, she is chief executive, she's executive president's team, 15K. And please welcome with me, Jennifer Micheli. Jennifer, it is to you.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me and see me? Yes? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. And I love the opening of this, listening to Mark Hughes and listening to Jim. I was literally thinking, well, we could just end the meeting right there. They just said everything, right? But of course, we're not going to end the meeting right now. I'm your guest. And as I said, I'm so honored to have been asked to be with you here today. I have my trusty technical assistant with me because my computer crashed. So my friend Melissa is going to pull up my PowerPoint. Thank goodness for teamwork, right? You can slide in. Yes. Okay. Meet Melissa, everybody. Hello. We're going to go ahead and pull this up. Melissa is a world team member in a different organization, but a dear friend of mine. Are we able to do it? It says, yes. Okay. Okay, we're getting it. And here's what I can share with you. You do not have to be tech savvy to make it to the president's team. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That's awesome. Okay, maybe pull that down and present. Yep, we'll get it. Is it doing it?
I think it's moving slow.
I think it's moving slow. We'll try that one more time. Okay, super. All right, well, I can't see any of you, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So like I said, I'm so honored to be with you here today. This is going to pull up in a minute. I got introduced to this amazing community, as she said, 24 and a half years ago. I can't even imagine, my life without Herbalife. I can't even imagine really where the years have gone, because not only have I grown up in this company, but my children have as well. And so, I start this PowerPoint today with this slide because, as I said, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. My heart is extremely full by being a part of this community. I know that I'm living out my soul purpose every single day, and I do live a life of purpose. So I'm originally from California. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I lived there till I was 8 years old. And then my family moved to Southern California, to San Diego. And I was able to fall in love with fitness at a very young age. I started dance at age 4, I started running at age 11, and I started teaching group fitness at 17. I was able to graduate high school at the age of 17. I skipped 4th grade and I graduated early. I went to a year and a half of college. And then a friend of mine had moved to the island of Maui in Hawaii. And I decided that that's something that I wanted to do. So I packed my bags up and I moved to the island of Hawaii, or to the island of Maui. And while I was there, I was exercising, I was training, I was working out all the time. And before I knew it, I was spiraling down into a full-blown eating disorder. I went from a 112-pound athlete down to 80 pounds. I remained that way for a year. I was writing home during that time, telling my parents all about my weight loss. And of course, they were very worried and concerned. And they ended up coming over to Hawaii. And I can distinctly remember the look on my mom's face when she got off the airplane. It was one of horror. She was in shock at the way that I looked. They just loved on me for the 2 weeks that they were there. And then they asked me if I would come home and get some help. And, you know, I think I was just sick and tired of the way that I was living and the way that I felt. So I was ready to go home. And when I did, the most magical thing happened. My father was a drug and alcohol counselor, and one of his nurses was a recovering anorexic. And she invited me to go for a walk on the beach one day with her. And I went on that walk, and she just point blank looked at me and she said, "Do you want to live?" And I said, "I do." And she said, "Do you want to get married and have children one day?" And I said, "I do." And she said, "Do you understand that the path that you're on, you probably will not make it?" She said, "Do you understand that your body needs fuel just like a car? You can't get into a vehicle in San Diego on an empty tank of gas and expect to get to San Francisco. And that's what you're asking your body to do every day." And for some reason, I had been operating out of my emotions. Most of us do that, whether we're overweight or underweight. We have the emotions wrapped around food. But for some reason on that particular day, intellectually, what she said made sense. And I thought to myself, you know, the life that I'm starting to live is not the way that I want to be. And so she said, well, you can put good fuel in your body or you could put in poor fuel. So I made a decision. I was going to start eating again. And I slowly started eating. I crept my way back up to 92 pounds. I ended up meeting my husband. I got married. I had 3 children. And we decided to move to Daytona Beach, Florida. Like I said, my background is in fitness, and I wanted to open up a gym. My passion was always to help people. So we moved to actually a city called Ormond Beach, didn't know anybody. And it's where I really started doing my first 90-day plan, because the gym had to be built out. And during that time, I was just out in the community talking to people about the gym that was coming. I was so excited about it. Those doors opened. I was teaching 18 aerobic classes a week. My 3 kids were 7, 6, and 4 at the time, and they were basically being raised in the back of the gym in the daycare. And my husband was working his full-time job. He was sales director for a timeshare resort. So he would work all day at his job. I would work the gym. 4 o'clock would roll around. He would go to the gym, and I would go home with the kids. So we were looking for a business opportunity because I wanted to bring value into the home. And it really felt like all that I was doing, we were just passing each other through the night. So he started looking at water filters to sell, or he started looking at all of these other things. And I was like, I can't wrap my brain around any of that. None of that sounds exciting. So we happened to be standing at the front window of my business one day. And I'm forever grateful for all of you that are on the call for the very first time, or your 100th time on one of these calls. Timing is everything. And so I was standing May 27th, 1998. I was standing at the front window of my gym. And I think about that because there's a lot of places that I could have been. I could have been in the daycare. I could have been teaching a class, or I could not even been there. And my soon-to-be sponsors walked by. They looked healthy and fit. If you know who they are, they're Sandy and Tommy Giosa. They both were muscular. Tommy had on these little cutoff shorts, and he was carrying a big picture to be framed at the framing store next door. So when they walked by, I opened up the gym, or I opened up my door and I gave them a flyer to my gym, and they gave me a flyer to Herbalife. And that was the day that completely turned things around for me. The most interesting thing is my former husband's best friend and his wife do Herbalife, and they still do to this day over 30 years, but they're product lovers. They're world team members. They never wanted to grow the business. They love their careers, but they talked to us about the product 3 years prior, but it just wasn't our time. So when Tommy and Sandy said Herbalife, I was like, oh, I remember hearing about that. And then Tommy said to me, Jen, there's a couple things I'm going to share with you. If you have a desire for things to change, a willingness to work, and you can remain coachable, there's many, many things that you can create for you and your family, as long as you use the product, wear the brand, talk to people, come to the events, qualify for things. And the most important thing that they said to me is to never, ever, and add a million evers on the end of that, quit, because you just never know when your time's going to be. They were very smart. They invited me to their house. That same day, they blended up a vanilla shake for me. I had drank shakes before and always had to stick a bunch of things in them to get them to taste good, but the vanilla shake tasted absolutely amazing. I loved it. I loved the tea. I loved the way that I felt. And then Sandy, which thank goodness, sat down and drew it the marketing plan. Okay. I didn't understand it. There were a lot of circles and squares, but what I did understand is when she said, on every $100 sale, $25 can go into your pocket. And I remember asking, well, how many times a day can I do that? And they said, well, how often do you want to talk? You get to create really and design whatever you want out of it. So right off the bat, I got signed up as a distributor. I was very excited about that. They actually invited me to go out to dinner to the Outback Steakhouse. And I guess they had a little bet going of if the button was going to go on. Okay. So here's, guys, almost 25 years later, the button has never come off except when I sleep. But I walked into the Outback Steakhouse to meet them for dinner. And I guess they had a bet. Tommy said, no way. Sandy said, yes. And I walked in that restaurant and I had a button on, and Tommy looked at her, is what he tells me, and says, wow, she did it. And she said, yes, she's serious. Okay. So I was not only inspired, I wasn't desperate completely, but I was desperate for change because I wanted to have more, but I was very inspired by what I saw and what they had. And one of the coolest things that I saw when I went to their home, beautiful home, but they had this wood cabinet and you opened it up. And I'm telling you, I don't know, it was maybe 4 feet high and I don't even know how wide, but it was filled with Herbalife product. And I remember like, oh my gosh, like it's a store inside there, right? So I was so excited when I saw that. And back in the day, we had to buy cases of everything, right? But it was amazing. It was fully stocked. And so I just did what they told me to do. They said right off the bat, we're going to have these Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday trainings, guys, because this is the concept that Mark Hughes instilled in us, is to always have a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday event. And I'm proud to say 25 years later, guess what? Every Tuesday, I still have an Herbalife opportunity meeting. Thursday, we do some type of a training, a university, and Saturday, we still have our events. So those are key things if you're taking notes for your success. Consistency is key. Master the basics, master the small stuff. And that's just something that they taught me over and over to do, which I'm forever grateful, is basically use, wear, and talk. So just got into action right away. The very first month, I took a bottle of raspberry tea. It's still, one of my favorites. I love chai, but I love the raspberry tea. And I sampled to every single person that I came in contact with, because that's what they told me to do. So listen to your sponsors. And I was able to retail over $6,000 worth of product in my very first month. Now, I remember when she drew out those circles and squares and I saw 4,000 points to become a supervisor, I was like, oh my gosh, that seems like so much. How am I going to do that? But how I did it is one client at a time, opening up my mouth every single day and sharing this opportunity. And back then, I used to, constantly, I would call them all of the time with questions. So that's another thing. The more that you call your uplines and the more that you call your sponsor or your mentor and you ask questions, the better and the faster your success is going to be. Stay connected with them. So that's what I did. They were so gracious. They constantly shared with me, the steps to build my business. And so we were able to hit the global expansion team within the first 7 months of the business, which was absolutely incredible. Not really understanding everything that I was doing, just fired up, sheer excitement, holding those Herbalife opportunity meetings inside the gym. My very first huge success story was my daycare worker. She went on to inside the gym. She went on to lose 40 pounds. And of course, everybody wanted what she had. my personal results is I was able to put on 40 pounds of much needed muscle, you know, which is to me the most incredible thing ever. Yes, we're going to move to that next slide. Okay, so this is the before the anorexic photo at the 80 pounds. This picture on the right actually it's 3 years old. I need to put a new one, but there is a new one on the next slide. But that is at 57 years of age. I entered a bikini competition and I won my pro card as a bikini athlete, which I'm forever grateful for these products, guys. The products deliver. We just have to take them every single time. Okay, so we're going to fast forward. Do it. Super. Okay, it'll pop up. So these are just some of my stories, but anyway, got to the global expansion team. And then, you know, if you're a part of life and you're a part of Herbalife, you're going to have ups and downs in your journeys. And that absolutely happened to me. The first challenge that came along is I ended up divorced. That was my choice. But now I became a single mom of those 3 kids, running a business, personal training on the side, building my Herbalife community. And what I'm forever grateful for is this incredible community that as you go through your life's challenges, or as I went through mine, this team and this company and the support was always there to help lift me up and pick me up, which I'm so grateful for. My second month in the business, able to qualify for the world team by doing 10,000 volume points in 1 month, which I thought in the beginning, like, how is that possible? It's possible when we open up our mouth and we get into action every single day, because there was a clear plan that was laid out for me, right? And I'm forever grateful for the simplicity of Mark Hughes' plan, of Tommy and Sandy adapting that and then teaching that to the organization. And like I said, those challenges come along. And for me personally, you know, I'm so grateful for this company, for the personal development, for the Jim Rohn. Qualifying to that world team also qualified for me to go to an event where I was able to see and meet Mark Hughes and Jim Rohn, my 3rd month in the business, which was completely life-changing. I remember walking into that meeting, listening and hearing and seeing, just like the audios or the videos that were playing before it. It still moves me to this day, almost 25 years later, of how powerful and how poignant that those 2 gentlemen are. And they poured life into me. I walked out of that meeting. I called my mom and I said, I'm in for the rest of my life. I know what I'm destined to do. I know what my purpose is. And I'm again, forever grateful for those of you that didn't have the opportunity to meet Mark or Jim. Please make sure that's part of what you do every single day. You know, those daily disciplines, waking up in the morning to Mark or Jim, or going to bed in the evening with Mark or Jim, really sets the intention and the tone for the day. Again, as I said, I'm so grateful for that. Then we just got into action, continued to build. Second, you know, adversity and challenge came along. Our founder, Mark Hughes, passed away. And I can remember Tommy reaching out to me and calling me that day and sitting in my living room on my couch and just crying like a baby for hours, right? Because I'm going to backtrack. The last time that I remember seeing Mark Hughes alive, there was a training in Orlando, Florida, and I never really quite remember what that training was, but there was a small group of us. I want to say about 100 people. And I wanted to sit in the front row. I sat next to one of Tommy's friends and we sat there, and Mark was just a few feet away from us. And, you know, for those of you that know him and those of you that didn't, Mark Hughes was absolutely beautiful. He was a beautiful man from head to toe. He dressed sharp. We used to have Herbalife tanning products. And so he was all tan and he smelled delicious with the cologne, and just listening to him and pouring life into us. And at the very end of every training, he would stay and he would talk to every single person, and he would wait and he'd take a photograph. And I remember I got to the very back of the line. For whatever reason, I just wanted to be the last one to talk to him. And the great thing is I had met him before, and Mark always remembered who you were. He knew little bits and pieces of you, which was so powerful. So as a leader, that's something that I've always wanted to carry on, is to get to know my people, right? Get connected to your people. It makes the relationship so much stronger. But I stood in that line, and when I got up to him, you know, he was taller, and I looked up into his eyes and he asked about my family. We talked, had some small talk. And then I looked at him and I said, Mark, I'm going to make it to the president's team. Then he looked at me and he said, Jen, you will, as long as you don't quit. And I remember looking up at him and I said, Mark, I give you my word. Right. So for me, all of these years taking that on of like, I gave Mark my word, no matter how long the journey was going to be, no matter how long it took, that I was committed to taking his mission of having a canister of Formula One on every countertop. And I was going to do that until, and that's still where I'm at today. So grateful for that. So when that second adversity of Mark Hughes passing away, we locked arms. You know, there's many people who left, there's many of us that stayed. And I can remember Tommy and Sandy and myself saying, you know what, we're in it. Like, we're doing this again, no matter what, until. And so, guys, there was a period of time where we had no success training seminars. I know some of us went through that a couple of years ago, you know, with what was going on in the world, but we had been plugged in before. Now there was none of that to get plugged into. So I'm so grateful that one of my downline, James Stevenson, he's a Get 2.5. He lived in my neighborhood. We were committed every Tuesday, Thursday to have that Herbalife opportunity meeting in my house. There were many times it was James and myself. There were many times it was James, myself, and the kids. There was many times it was James, myself, and the animals staring at us, you know, but we were like, we're doing it until somebody comes, because that's what Mark Hughes told us to do. And so we just practiced and we got better and better and better. And little by little, people started coming, which was the most incredible thing. So we got that momentum going. And then the amazing thing is, and I'm so blessed for this, is I ended up remaining on the global expansion team for 12 years. It's not as though I sat down and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I love it here. I think the global expansion team is amazing. So for all of you that are striving for that or that are currently on it, I believe it's red for a reason. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You're developing as a leader. Your team is developing. You're growing. And, you know, that's just where I was. But one of the most amazing things is that I qualified. I got to as many vacations as I possibly could. I qualified to earn my royalty check. I got to be in front of the trainings. And for those 12 years, I sat in front of the most incredible leaders, event after event. Now, there were times I would sit in the Get Team section and I'm like, oh, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And, you know, I would go to the event and I think, this is the event. And then I'd come back and I'd have a little momentum and then something would happen. And what I realized, which I hope many of us do, is when you look in the mirror, our success, my success, is based upon me 100%. 1,000%, 1,000,000%, right? There's nobody else that can make you or help you get to the next level besides you. It has to start in your head and in your brain. So I'm grateful for all of those years. I'm grateful for the trainings. I'm grateful for the events. I'm grateful for the relationships. Probably one of the best things that the most grateful that I'm for is my sponsors introducing me to the most incredible leaders in this company that I was developing relationships with all of those 12 years. Okay. So that's like the greatest thing, is getting to know them and then pouring life into me. So we got a little bit of momentum, you know, we go and we come down and just like, that's the journey. And then the nutrition club started opening up here in the United States. And I remember Sandy and I talking to Tommy and saying, we really want to do this. And Tommy just didn't really see the vision yet. He wasn't 100% on board. It took us quite a while. I feel like maybe we were one of the slower organizations to get it going, but it didn't matter. It was our journey. Prior to that, I was teaching an outdoor fit camp, a boot camp I'd started over 15 years ago here in Daytona Beach. I used to charge $180 for the workouts. And it was a 3-week long, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. People were coming. I was sharing the Herbalife products. Day 2 of the camp, we would do like an Herbalife nutrition, Herbalife opportunity meeting, and I talked nutrition. I was getting clients, but I wasn't building an organization. And it wasn't like I wasn't wanting to. I think people were just excited to go work out with Jen. They didn't quite see it for themselves. And it really became more of a community event. It was another way to make money, but it wasn't building my royalty. Made a decision after we decided to open up our first nutrition club, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you, Tommy and Sandy, for that. We got some momentum going. We hit one kind of millionaire team. We missed the second cut. But we had just enough momentum by hitting that cut to go to the Future Presidents Team retreat in Dallas. And that, my friends, was the event that turned everything around for me. And I can say that with 100% wholeheartedness. Walking into that event, There were just two of us that were global expansion team members. There were 300 people that were in that event. The last one we had in the United States was over 1,300 people. So 300 people is the size of a success training seminar. So I remember sitting in that room. It was myself and Holly Patterson, and looking around at everybody and thinking, oh my gosh, kind of like, what are we doing here? Because everyone's a higher level. And then I stopped myself and said, wait a minute, you earned the right to be here. I think now is the time that you put on your big girl boots and your big girl pants and you go to work and you step into the leader that you're destined to be, because it's up to me. So I sat in that event like a completely different person, taking notes like crazy, watching some of my now, peer pres team members going across the stage, getting pinned president's team. And of course, they had come in after me. They were doing the same kinds of things that I was to build the business, fit camps and weight loss challenges. But what I realized at that event is they made a decision and they went to work in a way that I had not been doing before. So after every day of training, I went back to my hotel room and I journaled like I'd never journaled before. I set my intentions like I'd never set my intentions before. And I share that there's something that took place physiologically inside of me. And I've talked to a lot of other pres team members, and they know that distinct moment where something switched for them. I really feel like I birthed an alien. Okay, I was no longer the same person. There was something inside of me that the desire and the drive and the mindset had shifted 1,000%. And I remember walking out of that third day, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I walked right into Michael Katz, Senior Executive 30K Michael Katz. And I'm grateful that Tommy and Sandy had introduced me to him, to Michael and his wife, Debbie, and their upline, Mark Matika, and so many other leaders years before. And we had connected because of some of our similar paths, the anorexia and sobriety and a lot of things. And I looked at Michael and I said, Michael, I need some help. I need mentorship. And he looked at me and he said, I'm all here. He said, but here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to read a book, and it's called High Frequency Living. And it happens to be by Mark Matika. He said, read that. And when you do, go ahead and then get back with me and we'll take some steps from there. So I actually had gone back to my hotel room that evening. It was the final event before we went home the next day. And I wrote out a 3x5 note card of exactly when I was going to hit the millionaire team, exactly when I was going to hit the president's team, what my commitment was, of how many people I was going to talk to, what I was going to do no matter what. And I signed it, I sealed it, I kissed it, I gave it my word, just like I had given Mark Hughes my word that I was going to make it to the president's team. And I realized at that moment, I was on my pres team project run. Like there was no turning back. I came back, I read that book. There were a couple things that I needed to clear up with myself. And I remember I called Sandy and we sat and we met in a park and we talked about, how I was going to build to the president's team. I was, fitness was my background and my passion. And I asked her for my blessing and she said, go make it happen. Go do your run. So we ended up opening up our own nutrition club. I decided to not charge my fit camps ever again, to make them 1,000% completely free. But everybody was going to come in and they were going to have their wellness profile and there was going to be a system. And so we created the 24 fit camp model, 4 weeks, things that we do on day 1, things that we do on day 2, things that we do at the very end. On that off week, a camper celebration. Guys, we advertised like crazy. The first fit camp, we had over 150 people came. The second month, 220. The third month, 350. And by the fourth month, over 400 people were walking through our doors that had all had wellness profiles. All were getting on product. We were developing coaches. And 11 months later, guys, hit the president's team. And I remember thinking, that wasn't so difficult. Like, what the heck had I been doing for the last 12 years? Doesn't matter, right? I raised babies. I was able to be the PTA mom. I was able to go on field trips with them. I was able to grow. I was able to also learn to manage money. At 60 years of age, I don't have any debt. Okay, that's a huge thing to say in America. And I became a single mom and didn't always have the financial support. Well, really never had the financial support, if we're honest, from my former husband, right? So I was just focused that I was going to make it work. And I'm, again, grateful for my leaders. I'm grateful for, my sponsors and the people around me that taught me those things. And so we hit the president's team. It's awesome because we opened up our nutrition club April 16th, and 1 year, the 1 year to the exact same day, I was getting on an airplane to be flown out to Los Angeles to meet Michael Johnson to have my Pres team experience. So it's like, once that decision is made, guys, once it's one powerful decision away that can completely turn your life around. Through that, I am so honored and proud that, you know, because of that model, I was able to teach it at the 2012 Herbalife Extravaganza. From there, a lot of people around the world started asking me. I went to Prague, I went to Greece. I've done a lot of things nationally, been able to share that. And that's my heart. My heart is that everybody wins. I've never been somebody that's held anything back. It's like, listen, you know, my commitment is that Herbalife wins. My commitment is that we take Mark's mission and we get this around the world. So if anything that I'm doing can help benefit anybody else, absolutely, that's what I'm going to do. So these are just some pictures, you know, my fitness journey along the way. My children are of course, grown up. My daughter is 28. My middle son, Matthew, with long hair, he's 30. My older son, Dominic, just turned 32. You know, as I said, not only did I get to grow up in the business, but they grew up as well. And they have so many incredible relationships with so many of the leaders. And I thank you for that, for who you are, for my family and for my children. You know, I'm blessed that I've been able to travel the world. I'm blessed that I get to wake up every single day. The pictures on the top, I turned 60, guys, in February. I'm actually closer to 61. So I started a senior fitness class at our nutrition club. It warms my heart. I teach them hula hoop. We do chair fitness. I just actually had class with them today. I told them that I'm on with you guys. They're from 60 to 85, which is so cool being able to give back. The picture is my son Matthew is a Get 2.5, working towards heading the millionaire team. Down on the bottom right, is my upline, Sandy Giosa, and two of the diamonds. We're a line of 4 diamonds, myself, Nicole Hester, Connor Winkus, and her sister Cortland Munez. I'm working on my diamonds this way, but to me, we have them this way, which also means we're duplicating. So I'm grateful for that. In the center is a picture of my friend, Edith. Whew, that's a tough one. She helped me originally start Full Circle Boot Camp. She has been with me on my journey. She actually just passed from cancer. But because of this Herbalife opportunity, I was able to take a month off, take her to Mexico for her cancer treatments and be with her. And, you know, I owe my life to Herbalife. I don't know where I would be. Also through this journey, my former husband and I have been able to become the best of friends, raising our beautiful children, traveling together. In the opening video they just showed, it was 2 days ago, myself and him and my kids were all in Universal Studios having the time of our life. You know, Herbalife helps you to become the best version of yourself if you're open to receive that. And I feel like at 25 years, you know, soon to be 25 years in the company at 60, I feel like I'm just getting started. There's so much more that I want to do. There's so many more lives that I want to, you know, be grateful for and impact. But it all starts with using, wearing, talking. It starts with the basics. So I've got some tips that I want to share with you right now. If you'll help me move on to the next slide. Are you crying? She's over here tearful. Okay, we've got 12 steps to success. I can't see any of you, but I hope you're getting value. If you are, thumbs up, drop a 1 in the chat. We're going to go ahead and hit through these. I'm going to take 1 sip of my drink right now. Okay. So we are 12 steps to success. Step 1 says you're one powerful decision away from creating momentum. And just like I shared with you, that was the event that did it for me at that Future Presidents Team retreat. So wherever you are in your life right now, you know, is everything working in the direction that you want it to be? Are you just kind of there? Do you feel like you're stuck? Here's what I want to share with you. Don't ever use the word stuck. You're just where you're at. There's life lessons to be learned in the place that you're at. If you're somebody that always feels like, why does this always happen to me? Here's why it's happening to you, because you're powerful enough, you're strong enough that you can get through it. But it takes one decision. It takes you waking up one day and saying, I'm sick and tired of where I'm at. That was for me. And it was never about the money. Yet I'm going to share with you, a Pres team check is a lot more enjoyable than a global expansion team check. But what for me is I knew that there was more inside of me. I knew that I was holding back. I knew that I wasn't living out my full potential as the woman that I am, as the leader that I am, as the leader that I'm developing. I'm hanging out with the 30Ks and the 40Ks and the 50Ks because I want to know, who do I have to become to be that person? So as much as I'm talking to you that you're one powerful decision away, so am I. Okay, so what's it going to take? Is today going to be the day? You know, we're in the last quarter of the year. Mark always said, what we do now is going to set us up for our success. So make today the day, right? And if not, like, I'm leaving you guys right now and I'm driving over to LDW. I'm so excited because I'm the production team captain. I'm the speaker attendant for our guest. But I know that this is what I need to get me to the next level. All right. Number 2 is knowing your goals. What are your personal goals? If you're married or you have a partner or, you know, spouse, kids, whatever you have, you can create something together. But what are your individual goals? I like to do goal setting all the time. Okay. Number 1, at the beginning of the year. Well, here's what we do at the end of the year on December 31st, the organization gets together and we do a goal card. We get together early in the evening so people can go out, but we sit down and we write our 1-week goal, our 1-month goal, our 3-month goals, our 6-month, our 9-month, and our year goals. And then you can do bigger ones, but I focus on my personal goals, my business goals, my team goals, and then my community goals. And when you have those smaller goals, it's a win. You get to check them off. And it may be something as simple as, hey, I'm going to, work out 3 times a week. Maybe you've been saying it, but you haven't done it. And when we don't do those small little goals, or we don't do those daily disciplines, we feel as though we're not progressing. Maybe you feel like you're failing. Maybe it takes you completely out. So don't let that happen to you. Set small, realistic goals that you can accomplish, and then working towards those bigger goals. And it's the coolest thing when you actually check off, like, oh my gosh, that happened, right? I know that a few years ago, I set out the beginning of the year, I did these 10 powerful goals that I wanted to have happen. And by May, I had all 9 of them, from the type of car that I wanted, to the money that I wanted in the bank, to the to be asked to speak. And that's the year that I actually went to Greece and I went to Prague. Not only, I said I wanted to travel once international, but I traveled twice. The only one that didn't get done, but it finally did, is I wanted to have a Casa Herbalife here in Daytona Beach. And I'm proud to say 2 years ago, we got a Casa Herbalife here in Daytona Beach. We partnered up with Herbalife. We were able to present them $50,000 to take care of these kids. So be crystal clear on what your goals are. They definitely matter, okay? Step 3, your daily method of operation. What are you doing every single day that is income producing, right? So I'm going to be 100% honest. I am not an emerald. That is not my forte. I do not like to sit down and do Excel spreadsheets or any of those things. I'm somebody that's more out in the world. I'm hands-on. I love my emeralds. Thank you. Melissa sitting next to me is the emerald. So I'm so grateful for her. She, I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. But what are your daily methods of operation that fire you up? And it's something that you can go out and do every single day, right? And pick a few. You've got to get out there and do it. If somebody is saying it's invites and it rains all day long, and then you don't go out and do your personal invitations. So whatever it is for you, make sure that you're doing it, and to have that no matter what attitude. That's what shifted for us when we made a decision to take our run to the president's team. And I'm going to share with you, after leaving that future president's team retreat and coming back home, I had a group of 6 that were my committed team. And guess what, guys? Everybody in the business was in the business for less than 2 months. I had a lot of product lovers and I had other people that were purchasing, but everybody that was the dream team had been in the business less than 2 months. People always say, what did you say to them? And I really don't know what I said to them. I just know that I came fired up from that event. And I set an intention. Our goal was to impact 2,000 lives in our community. And we sat down and created our daily methods of operation that we were committed to doing. And because they'd only been in the business for a couple of months, they didn't have any stories wrapped around that they couldn't go do those things. Okay. So part of it, if you're, wanting your business to grow, don't focus so much on what your team is doing, because they're doing what makes sense to them. you go get into action. Like me, I went and got into action and others followed. Okay, so it's really important that you do that, and then have that mindset that you do it no matter what. Number 4 is to employ yourself. You know, when you wake up every single day, for those of you that are working this business part-time, there's power to that. Sometimes those stories are so much more powerful than the full-time, because your time is limited and you've only got 2 hours. So you're maximizing those 2 hours. For somebody that's full-time and they have the entire 24 hours, you could do a bunch of things around your house, never leave the house till 4 o'clock and say, oh, the stores are closed, there's nothing that I can do. Okay. So employing yourself is the biggest thing. You know, I always like to rate myself. Am I the distributor that I want my distributors to be? Am I the client that I want my clients to be? And I'll share with you, and this is no bragging rights, but I can proudly say that I have not missed a shake or a set of tablets in 24 and a half years, because I realize my health and my success depends upon them. Okay. So again, wherever you are in your journey, are you that? Are you that distributor that you want your distributors to be? How are you setting up your day? I personally have a 90-day gauge book that we created as a team before we hit our run to the president's team. And I've used that every single day. I don't know why it's not here. I was going to show you, but anyway, it doesn't matter. If anyone's interested, I can share it with you. I've shared it with a lot of people, but it's a little notebook and I walk around with it and I set my day up the night before. I know that a lot of things that I'm sharing with you are things that you've heard, but rate yourself. Are you actually doing them? And listen, I know people have gone to the Pres team not doing any of this stuff, but I'm just sharing you my steps to success and the thing that keeps me working and keeps me in action every single day. Listen, 15K executive is amazing, but there's way more inside of me. There's way more lives that need to be touched. So I'm employing myself every single day. That pin comes off. I'm just like the brand new distributor. I'm so excited. I've got 2 new supervisors. Well, actually, she's 30 points away and the other one's 100 points away. So 2 first-line supervisors, they're making it happen today. They want to, you know, be recognized at LDW. So employ yourself is the next one. Thank you. Moving on to 5. Okay, number 5, the events. The events are everything. They're non-negotiable in my life. And I want to share this with you. So as I was heading off to that future president's team retreat back in 2012, when, you know, I had the epiphany and it was life-changing for me, all of my kids were over 18. My oldest son, Dominic, looked at me and he said, Mom, you know, you've been talking about this president's team for a very long time. He said, we're all grown. We're all okay. Like, we love everything. Go for it. You've been talking about it. It's time to put it into action. And he said to me, what I see is that you enabled your team. You're not equipping your team. And I remember looking at him and thinking, wow, that's pretty profound. So what I made a decision after that event and the things that I heard, and that it's my job as the leader to equip them with the tools, not to enable them and do it for them. Okay. Because if you're always doing stuff for your guys, or you're always even letting them know where to get tickets and how to do those things, you're not creating an independent distributor. As a mom, a single mom, my job, I feel, as a parent was to raise independent functioning adults, which I'm very grateful for. I have 3 that are completely thriving on their own. I feel my job as an Herbalife sponsor and a leader is to help raise independent functioning distributors that are thriving on their own. I don't want to take recognition for their success or their failure. I want to lead them to where they can go to get all of the information, and then it's up to them. And the events is where they're going to get the information. The events is where I get the information. The events is where my cup gets full. The events is where I see what's possible. The events are the things that just change my way of thinking. And the events are the things that I walk out more fired up than ever to work to get more people at the events. So unless it's a funeral or your own wedding, I highly recommend that you get to the events, because the event that you don't want to go to is the event that's going to do it for you, right? And be present at the events. I still see people standing outside having their own meeting. Oh my goodness, you got a Chairman's Club member talking and you're in the back. Dude, sit in your seats, okay? That's all I'm going to share on that. Take notes. And that's something that's my sponsor, Sandy Giosta. I'm literally sitting right now. She used to say, sit bird dog at the end of your seat, focus, take notes, because there'll be a day that you're asked to train. And guess what I do? I open up my notebook and I've got all of these really great notes and I can share. Okay. Number 6 is go for it all. Mark Hughes made a promise to us. If we went and we worked, you could have it all. Okay. So as much as I'm saying it to you, I'm saying it to me. Go for it all. Get your best result. Become the best distributor, right? Work your way up the marketing plan. Don't leave any money on the table. It's there for us. Go qualify for the vacations. Now, there's a couple times that I've missed. Does it hurt? Absolutely. But here's what I can share with you. By going for it, I got way further ahead than sitting back thinking, oh, there's no way I could ever do that, right? Like as soon as your guys or your uplines or your team or Herbalife puts out a promo, say to yourself, I'm going for it and I'm going to become the best version of myself by doing that. And I promise it'll stretch you. If you do that, your team is going to follow, okay? Number 7 is be invested in your team and your upline's goals. This is key. I remember as Tommy and Sandy were in their 3rd and final cut to the president's team, I was in my 3rd and final cut to the global expansion team. And back then, Mark Hughes used to do that 3rd cut call. All of the team was inside my gym in this little teeny office, and Mark Hughes was calling, and he was talking to us about the importance of going out and getting more clients and building more, team members, and what it was going to be to have Tommy and Sandy as a president's team member, right? And that locked in with me is that you do for your upline, because when you do for your upline and you work, the momentum is going to be there and you're going to rise up, right? And by getting them to the next level, it shows you what's possible for you to get to the next level, right? So you never want to be somebody that's jealous of the sideline or jealous of the upline. Listen, I'm going to be human. It's not jealous. Sometimes there's been like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing them go across the stage. But then it's me. I get to go home and have a conversation in the mirror and say, guess what? They're working and you're not. Okay. So be invested in everyone's success, because you want people cheering and clapping you on when it's yours. If you don't have that mindset, guys, it's going to be lonely at the top, right? Everybody wins. There's plenty of buttons for everybody. There's plenty of wealth around the world for all of us if we continue to cheer everybody on. Number 8, clear vision for yourself in 2023. I highly recommend you sit down, start those goals like I suggested earlier. What's your vision? Where do you want to be? I just shared with Melissa before this call. I said, I'm crystal clear that in 2023, I'm going to train somewhere in Europe. So guess what? If any of you are on, you can reach out to me, because I'm clear that that's where I want to go. I'm also crystal clear that I'm going to be having a lot more business. I'm going to be moving up the marketing plan. So do you know where you want to go? Again, if you're working the business with your spouse or your partner, you can have something as a team, but have something individual as well. It's really important that you play full out and you fulfill those dreams and those visions that you have in your head and your heart. They're there for a reason, right? I never want to end my life with something in there that I didn't play full out and go for. So having that clear vision and then speaking it into existence. Every single morning I wake up, and I've been doing this for over 30 years. I list 10 things that I'm grateful for. I list my I am statements. I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm beautiful, I'm 20K, I'm senior executive, I'm on my way to 50K, 5 Diamond Chairman's Club, right? I write those things every single day. And then I set my intentions for the day of what I'm going to do to go make those things happen. And I always finish with do the small stuff daily really well. Okay. Because it's the small little teeny daily disciplines repeated over time that are going to give you the success that you want. And it's the small daily disciplines neglected over time that are going to leave you feeling like, oh man, I'm cutting short again. I don't want to have the same year in 2023 that I did in 2022. It's been amazing. It's been awesome, but I want more, because I can have that. And so can all of you that are on this call. Okay, the next one. Thank you so much for your help, Melissa. Okay, and these I absolutely love. Well, I love them all, but number 9, be the best part of someone's day. Okay, that's who we get to be as Herbalife distributors. We get to be the best part of somebody's day, right? Because people come to us, they've got problems, they've got issues, they're overweight, they're stressed, they're tired, whatever they've got going on. And we as Herbalife coaches get to put a smile on somebody's face. If you're having kind of a funky day, guess what? Drink another shake, take another set of tablets, have another tea, put that smile on, and realize that you have been gifted the most precious gift on the planet as an Herbalife distributor. So we want to give that to somebody else. Number 10, we get to take people from where they are to where they can be. Again, as I say, thank you, Tommy Sandy. Thank you, Michael Katz. Thank you to all of the other leaders that have poured their belief in me when I didn't quite see it. Okay, this is why Mark Hughes does this. This is why we do this. Borrow my eyes. You know, it's the coolest thing to take somebody that comes in and they're scared and they're unsure. And they always say, I'm shy, I can't talk to people. And next thing you know, 5 years later, they're standing on the stage and they're at an extravaganza pouring life into 10,000 people. It's not about you, but you're giving them the tools that they can do that. All right. Number 11, we don't step on others. We offer the steps to step up. We don't ever have to knock anybody down, guys. There's plenty of people. I walk around with my button on, even in my town where there's a lot of nutrition clubs and a lot of distributors. I don't see many buttons. When I travel in airports, I don't see many buttons, right? We don't ever have to take anybody or step on anybody. We're going to offer you the steps to help you to climb this incredible marketing plan to be the best version of yourself. And number 12, never compare yourself. And I know that, you know, comparison is the thief, man. It just steals your brain, steals your heart. Don't do that to yourself. You're unique. You're magical. You are exactly where you're meant to be right now. But if you want more, go back to number 1. You're one decision away from creating that momentum. All it takes, guys, do the work, take action, work your plan. There's going to be days, you know, when I worked that first 90-day plan, planting those seeds, it felt like nothing. Day 45, somebody calls, you get a client, and all of a sudden that client brings you 5 people, and you're like, this is amazing. Okay. So in a 90-day plan, it's the same thing. I'm an athlete. I help people get ready for contests. Day 1, they don't look so good. Day 45, they're kind of getting better. Day 90, they're standing on the stage. They're ripped, they're tan, they're beautiful. It's trusting the process. If you plant those seeds, I promise the harvest will come. Mark said it, Jim said it. It's biblical. Do the work. You have to do the work and take the action, and your day will come. We've got a few more slides. We're going to close this out. So persistence, patience, and perseverance. These are huge. You have to have persistence. You've got to be patient. You've got to persevere and go again and again. And we'll leave you with this. Do what is easy and your life will be hard. Do what is hard and your life will become easy. So what else? What else do we want to do? Yeah, we're going to stop the share. You know, what else do you want to do with it? You know, I always say, why Herbalife? Because Herbalife, guys, is the company that has the potential to change the world. And if that is something that you want to be a part of, you are exactly in the right place at the right time, doing your calling. So thank you for letting me share. I appreciate each and every one. I look forward to seeing you around the world in Herbalife. We always, when we leave the events here, a lot of my friends, we don't say goodbye. We say, see you around the world. So I hope and pray to meet many of your faces. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Wow, wow, Jennifer. Definitely, we will see each other around the world, that's for sure. You have given so many points. I'm sure everybody else is absolutely thrilled. But what I've written down, you said something which resonated again. It's coachable. You said it at the beginning. And you also talked about your napkin marketing plan presentation, to do it in a little bar. You talked about consistency and master everything by use where taught. Amazing. If I want to repeat everything you said, we have another hour to sit together. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. You speak very fast, but even I'm a foreigner, I did follow very well. I really must say thank you. Thank you, because you opened up my eyes. And I'm sure everybody who listened to our beautiful Jennifer feels the same as I do. Now, where are we? We have, I just want to talk about, which you actually mentioned, and I always want to bring it up. Whatever you've written down, if you're going to bed, you do it tomorrow. But if you're somewhere else in the morning, rewrite what you heard. You need to rewrite the first 24 hours what you heard. And you need to activate what you've written down within the next 72 hours. Like this, it becomes part of you. And by doing that, it will be embedded as your Herbalife action. This is another word you use, to activate and action. So my advice, rewrite and activate. I like to say thank you to our team. We have Christian Schaffer and Kevin Rebello, who are behind the scene, and without them, we couldn't do what we do. Alf Patron, I don't even know where he is, but I'm sure he's doing fine. And Angela is the one I want to recognize most of all. Because Angela, I said to her yesterday, she's a true networker. She keeps on calling till she finds a speaker. She keeps on calling whatever is needed to get done. So Angela, thank you. And we have this recording, this presentation is recorded, and you will get the link so you can share it with the people who were not able to listen, as in Asia and already asleep. And my advice, listen again so you can clean up your notes and activate. Now, our next supervisor school will be 10th of November, and Alf will be our host. We are still in discussion with our next guest speaker. And what can I say? Did I say everything? I wish everybody a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and have a wonderful, and not a wonderful, have an amazing October. And see you soon. And see you around the world, like Jennifer says. Thank you for everyone, and good night and good morning.